Hello everybody and welcome back to Crushing Comics, the show where I fall in love with my comic book collection all over again. Let's go straight to the shelf today. We gotta get rid of, oh my gosh! Well, that's either library editions or absolutes. We gotta get rid of the stuff on the shelf right behind me here so that I have more room to start new rows of books. Let's see, what shall we talk about today? You know, it's funny, I was just grocery shopping. I know, this is like so exciting, my life here in New Zealand, right? Like earlier I was out with my wife and the daughter and at a spice store, and somebody asked, oh, why are you here? And she usually says for work or whatever, but something just took her and she said, for adventure. Which I guess is almost kind of like a cliche, because a lot of people come to New Zealand for adventure reasons. Like, they're just outdoorsy people that just always want to be like hiking and kayaking and mountain climbing and swimming in the bay on their lunch breaks, which is apparently a thing people do here. So I don't know, I think she kind of just said it to say it, but where was I going with that? Oh, I know I talk a lot about things that are missing here or whatever, but what's really interesting is not the typical groceries that you're always looking for, but the unusual groceries that you find in a different place. Like, we were at a place that was very much a supply store for people cooking in Asian cuisines, you know, Chinese food, Indian food, Vietnamese, and there was that kind of spice place. And we were finding things she had not seen since she was a little kid, because her grandfather and grandmother are from China and would cook some, you know, regional dishes. And she's like, I haven't seen this since my grandparents cooked while I was a child. So that's fun. Even though we've been to many Chinatowns in America, and you can get a lot of things just different in different regions of the world. So that's pretty fun. Let's see. Oh, okay. Here we go. So, this is more of Buffy Season 9, but this is not the Buffy side of things. This is the Angel and Faith side of things. So, Angel, originally, in terms of Whedon extending the Buffyverse, was with IDW in a series called Angel After the Fall. And this was Whedon approved, but it wasn't Whedon supervised in the same way that Buffy was, or maybe I'm wrong. Let's take a look at that. And this kind of plotted by Joss Whedon, so approved by Whedon. And it kind of got started and did its thing, but then he decided to launch Buffy Season 9 or Season 8 originally, at Dark Horse. And so there are two different companies with two different licenses, but inevitably he used Angel in Buffy Season 8. And so they had to kind of like extricate Angel from the IDW license so that he could join Buffy. But rather than just give him an Angel standalone comic book, what they did was they took Faith, who is, let's take a step back. So at the time in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the show, there could only be one Slayer at a time. Except for if the Slayer died, then a new Slayer would automatically get called up. So Buffy briefly drowns at the end of Season 1, and another Slayer is called up, Kendra, who in Season 2, unfortunately, is killed in pretty short order by, I want to say, Drusilla. So that means another Slayer has died, but even though Buffy is alive, because another Slayer dies, another Slayer will get called up. And so we meet that Slayer in Season 3, and her name is Faith, acted by Elijah Dushku, and she is a really interesting character. You almost get the sense at points that Joss Whedon is more interested in telling the Faith story than he is in telling the Buffy story. Faith kind of gets shipped off at the end of that season, makes a couple of more appearances also on Angel, and ultimately Elijah Dushku winds up launching the unsuccessful Dollhouse with Joss Whedon, which ran 2 seasons and actually wound up being pretty good towards the end many years later. Almost 10, I guess, years later. So in the comics, they paired Angel and Faith after what happens with Angel at the end of Buffy Season 8, and what happens with Faith, who's kind of acting as a little bit of like a mercenary for the Buffy folks and going undercover at the direction of Giles without too many other people's knowledge. So this is another one of those runs where I don't really know a whole lot about it other than I plan to read it. I also, let's see. The supernatural world is reeling after the loss of magic in Season 8. Having retreated to London following traumatic events of Season 8, Angel undertakes a dangerous new quest. Angel made some bad choices in Season 8, and so that might be one of the motivating factors there. And joining him is the rogue slayer Faith. So what's really interesting to me about this is it's written by Christos Gage. Christos Gage is like I feel like Marvel has like a series of underclassmen that are writers that have never quite broken out, but are just so reliable and so interesting. And it makes me sad sometimes that they don't get to do the big things that some other writers do at Marvel because they've never had like their big hit. Greg Pak is one of those. I'm obsessed with Greg Pak. I don't know that he writes a bad comic, really, but he comes and goes. He's not exclusive at Marvel. He does his thing at other companies, which is fine, and I'm happy for him. Christos Gage is another one. He wrote a ton of strong Marvel, including Avengers Academy, including being kind of like Dan Slott's tag team high-five guy that will step in and co-write some Spider-Man when Dan Slott has his handful. And Christos Gage does not turn in bad comics. He writes great relationships. He plots well. He's not somebody who sells on name, but he's somebody I just really enjoy and like. And so when I saw he was going to be on Buffy and somebody with that greatness at writing relationships was going to be on this franchise, which was all about relationships, I was like, I am in. And he's actually become like the writer of Buffy. I think Buffy's on season 10 right now, and he jumped to the main Buffy title. So cool to see him take over an entire universe of comic books with characters that I really love. So probably going to be a little while till I break into these because I probably want to reread Buffy season 8 and then start on Buffy season 9. I don't really know yet how to alternate Buffy season 9 with the Angel books from that same season of Buffy, and I'm sure once I figure it out, I'll probably write something about it on my blog. So now, gosh, I don't even know if there's room. Now for the ceremonial shelving of Angel and Faith volumes, library edition volumes 1 through 3. So thanks for sticking with me for that one. Tune in next time as we open even more books from my shelf of wrap books that have traveled around the world to be with me here in Wellington, New Zealand. You have been watching Crushing Comics. Thank you so much.